The most important thing for selecting a mother colony is that it's healthy. So you don't want it to be overgrown by algae, and you don't want it to be to have any white tips at the end. Next to that, you want it to be big enough to make sure that it recovers after you've cut the fragments, because there are wounds and you need to be sure that they can absolutely recover back to their normal state. Whenever we cut the fragments from the mother colony, we grab the branch by its end, or at least the piece that we want, and keep the fragment in our hand. And then we put the fragment into a bucket so we can make sure they're all together whenever we collect them. So the fragment should be no less than 5 centimeters, and you should always cut the corals at the end of the branch, so you have the last piece. Also, you should take into consideration that you take no more than 10% of the full mother colony's volume to make sure that it can recover. Whenever the coral cutting is done, so you have the fragments from the mother colony, you go up to the surface, transport the fragments as soon as possible to where your nurseries are, and hang them up in the ladders. In order for us to hang the coral fragments into the ladder, we have to make a fish wire double loop, and the coral will eventually be hanging like this into the tree. We need to get a piece of fish wire, and you can calculate it how big you want it to be, so you can make 2 small loops. This will be an intermediate size. Next, you're going to make 2 small knots at the end of the ropes. Just a normal, easy knot, like this. And pull it tight. You do the exact same thing on the other side. And that's that. You have 2 small knots. Now we got to make the loop. And we use small aluminum clips for that. We are going to attach them to both loops. So what you do is you make a very small loop so that it can go through. Pull it through. And you have the loop. You do the exact same thing for the other side. And your fish wire double loop is ready. During transportation, you need to make sure that the corals are placed into a bigger amount of fresh seawater to make sure that they stay alive. You need to make sure that they get attached to a fish wire so that they can hang up in the ladders. Whenever you place the fish wire around the coral, you should make sure that the aluminum clip is closed so that it can shove up and down in the ladder, to make sure that the recovery is also nice and there's no problems. So the width of the tree is usually around 1 meter and 20 centimeters, and you can hang up around 8 fragments per row. It is very important to make sure that there's enough space around the coral fragments so that it can grow 3-dimensionally, and that it is big enough whenever you need it to be transplanted back into the reef restoration site. You can have multiple species of acropora corals in one tree, but just make sure that the fragments of each species comes from one mother colony only. We do this because so that we can always trace the fragments back to the original mother colony.